Have you ever met the gaze of a stranger that felt achingly familiar, as if your soul had known them for ages? Without a word, without awkward greetings, just an inexplicable, all-encompassing sense of peace, as if your heart sighed in relief, whispering, "I'm home." This is not a mere coincidence nor a random twist of fate. Carl Jung would call it synchronicity, a moment when two souls resonate in unison, not by chance, but due to a shared frequency of vibrations. It's a rare and profound experience where everything around fades away. Conversations become revelations and silence becomes cozy and natural. There's no need for masks, no need for explanations, because this person not only hears your words, but also feels your energy, captures the subtlest nuances of your soul. But let me reveal a truth that many prefer to avoid. Not every deep connection is destined to be eternal. Some people enter our lives not to stay forever, but to awaken us, to ignite a spark of change. They appear like a sudden storm, powerful, unforgettable, and before you realize what's happening, they vanish, leaving behind a trail of questions, a glimmer of clarity, and, at times, a crack in your heart that may never fully heal. But what is the message they bring, and why does their departure leave such an indelible mark? The answers to these questions lie hidden in the depths of our subconscious, and unraveling them means understanding something important about yourself and your path. So, how do you navigate the intricacies of human relationships and understand who is before you, a soulmate sent by fate itself, or simply a mirror reflecting your own emotional wounds, stages of personal growth, and unfinished healing processes? This question requires detailed consideration, because the truth is that some encounters are predestined, while others serve as valuable lessons. Failure to recognize this difference can lead to clinging to an illusion, while missing out on a real opportunity for spiritual development. Chapter 1. Synchronicity, the language of the soul. Wisdom says, "The time destined for two souls to meet never errs." In other words, the person who appears in your life carries a reflection of your own soul, like a mirror. The renowned psychologist Carl Jung studied this phenomenon in depth. Have you ever met someone who, with their mere presence, triggered inexplicable changes within you? This is not just physical attraction or interest based on appearance, social status, or charm. It's something much deeper, a resonance with something that's hard to put into words, but that your soul instantly recognizes. Carl Jung called this phenomenon synchronicity, a meaningful coincidence when the meeting of two people happens not by chance, but at the behest of some higher power. Jung believed that behind all our conscious decisions lies an invisible connection uniting us through energy, frequency, and vibration. When this connection is activated, two souls align in perfect harmony without any prior planning. It happens as if by magic, when the universe brings together those who are meant for each other. Many believe that relationships originate in rational thinking, shared hobbies, time spent together, or physical attraction. However, the strongest bonds are born in silence, in an energetic field where words are superfluous, but the attraction is undeniable. That's why, among the many people you meet, only one can cause a storm of emotions, because it's not about external manifestations, but about a deep resonance. It's as if a person's soul were a piano, and suddenly someone appears who touches a key that they didn't even know existed. Suddenly, a dormant part of their personality awakens. This person awakens something inside not because they bring it from the outside, but because they reflect the inner state of the soul. This is the secret. Falling in love is not with another person, but with the version of yourself that blossoms in their presence. Perhaps this person shows gentleness in a world that has hardened you. Perhaps they present a challenge that frightens you, but fosters growth. Perhaps they so clearly reflect your pain that it's impossible to turn away from it any longer. This is the magic of synchronicity. What matters is not the ideal circumstances, but the ideal coincidence. Such a person appears when the soul is ready, not when complete healing or an ideal life has been achieved. They come when you are open enough to perceive a deeper truth. After all, Some people come not to stay forever, but to awaken. They are not meant to be forever. They are a mirror, a guide, a spark, a storm. They shake the world not to destroy it, but to show what has been dormant inside all along. Next time a person appears in your life and seems like a messenger of fate, it's worth questioning not only their personality, but also which aspects of your inner world they reflect. Encounters that seem random actually carry deep meaning if you're willing to listen to their message. As Carl Jung said, until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate. It raises a natural question. Who among us, looking back on past relationships, hasn't wondered about recurring patterns of pain? Different people, different circumstances, but invariably repeating emotional wounds, feelings of abandonment, and emotional patterns. This isn't bad luck or simply being unlucky in love, but a reflection of unhealed wounds. It's important to realize that we attract into our lives not what we desire, but what corresponds to our internal state, especially what needs healing. If childhood traumas related to feelings of inadequacy lurk deep within, you'll inevitably encounter people who confirm this feeling. If a person is haunted by the fear of being abandoned, they'll fall in love with those prone to leaving. Unstable self-esteem attracts those who constantly question a person's value. This isn't a manifestation of a hostile world, but the soul's attempt to draw attention to unresolved issues. Pain isn't punishment, but a valuable lesson. Every ended relationship isn't a curse, but an opportunity for growth and self-discovery, pointing to bleeding wounds and unhealed parts of the personality. Unfortunately, many of us tend to ignore these important signals. Instead of facing the truth, we blame the other person, curse the very idea of love, and erect emotional barriers, not realizing that the root of the problem lies not in someone else, but in the reflection that person provides us. Relationships, especially those that cause pain, act as mirrors, reflecting our own internal wounds. They don't create these wounds, but merely expose them, revealing deeply hidden fears, unexperienced traumas, and stories we tell ourselves in private. Until we learn to look into this mirror with honesty, not accusation, we'll continue to attract the same lessons, cloaked in different forms. People who ignored us were actually reflecting our own fear of being rejected. Those who made us strive for their love were exposing our hidden belief that we have to earn affection. Emotionally unavailable people reflected our own avoidance of vulnerability. Every person who appears in our life carries a message, and every emotional pain serves as a wake-up call. And here's the harsh truth. It's impossible to heal where the wound was inflicted. However, healing becomes possible when we realize why we were initially drawn to that pain. Chapter 3. Fleeting Encounters with Soulmates. Sometimes fate brings a person into contact with those who burst into their lives like a raging forest fire. Unexpectedly, all-consumingly, and irreversibly. These people don't waste time on formalities. They don't wait for an invitation. They simply appear on the horizon, forever changing the usual course of things. The protagonist may not have been looking for a meeting with them, he may not have been ready for their appearance at all, but something about their presence seems painfully familiar, as if his soul has memories of these people from time immemorial. Everything in these relationships seems excessive, an incredible connection, insane chemistry, heartfelt conversations until dawn, silence that speaks louder than any words. And then the thought creeps in that this is fate itself, that this is true love, that this is the person destined by the universe itself. But suddenly these people disappear, leaving behind only a gaping void in the place they so easily filled. The protagonist tries to make sense of what happened, to understand how something that seemed so right and harmonious could dissolve so quickly into thin air. Doubts begin to creep into his head. Was it all real? Was it just a figment of his imagination, an exaggeration of the significance of the connection that arose? But the truth, which not everyone dares to admit, is that not all soulmates are destined to stay together forever. Yes, the connection was real and meaningful, but that doesn't mean these people were meant for a happily ever after together. Some soulmates appear in a person's life only to awaken them from slumber. They appear at the moment when the soul is dozing, when a person forgets their true worth, when they settle for less, when they bury their truth so deep that they stop recognizing their own voice, and they come like a cleansing fire to dispel illusions, destroy false beliefs, break the heart, so that it finally opens up to the new. It's a painful process, but it's supposed to be, because growth and development are always associated with pain. At times, humanity makes a fatal mistake, mistaking fleeting passion for destined fate. It seems that if feelings are strong and all-consuming, they are destined to last forever. However, such is the nature of the human soul that not everyone is destined to become a life partner. Some are assigned the role of divine upheaval. These people appear in life to test the ego, expose old wounds, and force one to face those aspects of personality that have long remained in the shadows. They are like karmic messengers, mirrors reflecting what needs healing, and warnings hidden beneath a mask. If the lesson is not learned, the universe repeatedly sends new versions of them with different faces and voices, but with the same behavior pattern, emotional pain, and recurring lesson, as if in an emotional loop from which it is impossible to break free. Only when a person stops asking, "Why did they hurt me?" and begins to ask, "What did this awaken in me that needed healing?" does realization come. After all, every storm leaves clarity in its wake, every wound carries wisdom, and every farewell frees up space for the emergence of the true self. Some people are not an entire chapter, but just a sentence that can change the direction of the entire life story. They come not to love forever, but to remind us how to love ourselves even more. Instead of dwelling on the sorrow of past relationships, one should gratefully acknowledge their impact on life. One should thank them for the chaos they brought, because it was this chaos that catalyzed your approach to realizing your own essence. And when the moment of healing arrives, when you leave behind the romanticization of suffering, you will realize that the most significant kindred spirit you will ever meet is that version of yourself that preferred personal growth to clinging to the past. Chapter 4 proclaims, "Love begins with wholeness, not hunger." According to Carl Jung, the meeting of two personalities is like the interaction of two chemical elements. When a reaction occurs, both sides are transformed. Modern society is obsessed with the idea of finding the one, the perfect partner, the missing element, the soulmate who is meant to complete us. However, the harsh reality is that no one can complete you until you become a whole person yourself. Love dictated by a sense of hunger is not true love, but a manifestation of despair and dependence, an attempt to fill an internal void that no one but yourself can fill. You don't attract those you desire, but those who correspond to your internal state. If your soul is filled with chaos, turmoil, and unresolved emotional wounds, you will attract people who will be a mirror image of that chaos. This is not a manifestation of the cruelty of the universe, but rather its consistency. That is why people who have experienced emotional trauma often seek love from those who are unavailable to them. Those who are insecure seek to associate with those who are distant, and those who are lonely settle for little, not getting what they really deserve. And this is not about the predestination of fate, but about the energy frequency, which, as you know, does not deceive. Energy does not respond to desires alone. It reacts to deep-seated beliefs, to the vibrations emanating from a person, to their self-esteem. When a person goes through life experiencing an acute need for love, recognition, and emotional salvation, they involuntarily attract partners who are a reflection of this hunger, not their wholeness. Such partners do not bring comfort. They only intensify internal tension. The intensity of feelings without stability is like a fire that eventually burns everything to the ground. This is often mistaken for passion, but in reality, it is just pain cleverly disguised as love. The illusion of romance hides a trauma that plays out a familiar scenario. True love has nothing to do with addiction. It is more like a harmonious alignment. It begins not with meeting another person, but with achieving one's own wholeness. Wholeness does not mean that a person will never be hurt. It means that they do not expect someone else to heal their every wound. It means that they have bravely faced their dark sides, healed the wounds of the past, and learned to give themselves the love they once desperately needed. When a person finds wholeness, they stop chasing those who only feed their inner emptiness and begin to attract those who resonate with their inner world. They stop looking for short-term emotional highs and strive to build relationships with those who contribute to their continuous growth. It's not magic or luck, but the result of emotional physics. When a person's internal frequency changes, so do their relationships with those around them. Those who once seemed incredibly attractive begin to be perceived as a source of chaos. Those who previously ignored you no longer pique your interest, and souls destined to meet the healed version of a person begin to appear in their life effortlessly. Love comes into a person's life not when they are desperately seeking salvation in it, but at the moment when the need for someone to fill the void gives way to the realization of their own wholeness and self-sufficiency. Then love ceases to be a way to close gaping wounds and becomes a powerful force that transforms both partners. It is no longer a union of two wounded souls frantically clinging to each other out of fear of loneliness, but a conscious choice of two strong and independent individuals. If the heart is tired of endless disappointments and recurring relationship scenarios only bring pain and destruction, then you shouldn't seek love in the external world with redoubled energy. It is much more important to delve into the depths of your own self. It is necessary to heal old wounds, revise your requirements for a partner, and increase your level of internal energy. When a person reaches a state of inner harmony and integrity, then the love that enters their life becomes complete and healing. Chapter 5 is devoted to dispelling the illusion of eternal love. From childhood, people are surrounded by fairy tales and romantic stories that convince them that once found, love should last forever. Society instills that true love knows no end, that eternity is its ultimate goal, and if a relationship ends, then it was never real in the first place. However, life relentlessly teaches that not every soul is destined to stay together forever, and this does not devalue the connection that was experienced. Every meeting in a person's life has its own purpose and its own term. Someone comes to teach you to love, someone to let go, someone reflects the best qualities of a person, and someone serves as a warning about what a person should never become. But none of these meetings is accidental or erroneous. Even painful relationships that have left behind only ruins, even those that have made you doubt your own worth, all of them were valuable lessons disguised as love. The real tragedy lies not in the end of the relationship itself, but in the desperate attempts to hold on to what has already exhausted itself. People resort to pleas, obsessive stalking, and make humiliating compromises trying to fit into the framework of connections that their inner world has long outgrown, and the logical result is suffering. The reason lies not in the changes that have occurred with the partner, but in the inability to accept one's own changes. When a person's energy evolves, when their inner world reaches a new level, certain people naturally leave their life. This is not evidence of their depravity or personal failure, but only reflects the fact that souls no longer resonate with each other. And no effort, no persuasion, no nostalgia can restore harmony between two souls developing in different directions. It's like trying to wear shoes that once fit perfectly, but now cause unbearable pain with every step. You can force yourself to put them on, but this sacrifice will turn into bleeding wounds. This is exactly what happens when people cling to those who no longer match their vibrations. They bleed emotionally, suffer morally, and find themselves in a spiritual dead end. After all, love should never be a prison. It is designed to serve as a portal to growth, to truth, and to freedom. When the goal of the soul connection is achieved, it becomes obvious. Silence sets in, a sense of disconnection arises, a feeling that something no longer fits, even if the memories still warm the soul. And it is at this moment that courage is required, the courage to let go, to abandon the illusion of eternity, to honor love for all that it has given, and yet to leave when it ceases to nourish the soul. Letting go does not mean showing indifference. It means putting your own growth above the fear of loneliness. It means that a person finally realizes that they are not losing another person, but gaining themselves. In previous relationships, a person was in the process of self-discovery, striving for development and experiencing fear of loneliness. However, now they have been transformed. realizing that no connection should hinder personal growth. Therefore, there is no point in trying to bring back the past and hold on to those who corresponded to the former self. You should let go of these connections, express gratitude for the experience gained, and move forward, open to new opportunities. True love does not limit, but frees, allowing you to become who you were always meant to be. Chapter 6 explores the idea that other people's shortcomings can point to our own issues. Carl Jung argued that the irritation we feel towards others can lead to self-discovery. It's easy to blame others for causing pain and betrayal, but it's worth considering whether these people are reflections of parts of ourselves we avoid confronting. Perhaps the person who left us heartbroken isn't a villain, but a mirror reflecting our own flaws. Our reactions and behaviors aren't random, but are messages from our subconscious and soul. When someone irritates, disrespects, or makes us feel insignificant, it's important to pay attention to what that person reflects. Any relationship, especially a painful one, serves as a mirror, revealing our vulnerabilities and unfinished healing processes. Imagine someone whose image persistently haunts your consciousness. You replay snippets of conversations, meticulously examine every message, clinging to memories as if to an unhealed wound. However, the harsh reality is that this person isn't your destined fate, but merely an unfinished stage in your personal development. They entered your life not to stay, but to serve as a reflection. And this reflection highlights your own fears, doubts, need for approval, and deeply ingrained belief that love must be earned. You don't need to find completion in this person. You need clarity within yourself. What you desperately seek in others is often what you deny yourself. Their silence awakens your deep-seated fear of being forgotten. Their rejection aggravates your insecurity, and their detachment revives childhood traumas you never fully addressed. This isn't about finding fault, but about awareness. Once you realize that people are mirrors, not enemies, you'll stop wasting energy trying to change them and instead focus your efforts on healing yourself. You'll understand that every soul you encounter either reflects your wholeness or exposes your wounds. Those who inspire you reflect your healed, calm, and confident aspects. Those who cause you pain reflect the parts of your personality that are still suffering, fearful, or in denial. Both are equally important because each holds a key to your further growth. A common mistake is trying to run away from this mirror. We block people on social media, avoid conversations, and rush into new relationships without doing the necessary inner work. However, the mirror doesn't disappear, it merely changes faces. You'll encounter the same energy repeatedly until you finally learn to look at it not through the lens of fear, but from a position of wisdom and understanding. By ceasing to avoid facing your own reflection, you open the path to profound change. It's then that the vicious cycle ends, valuable lessons are learned, and the healing process begins. The next time someone's actions strike a nerve, ask yourself, what does this situation tell me about myself? This isn't a sign of weakness, but a demonstration of inner strength. This clarity, this unpleasant truth we see in the mirror, becomes the gateway to personal evolution. For the mirror never lies, it only reflects the truth that we're finally ready to accept. Chapter 7 of the book is dedicated to the meeting of two whole souls. There comes a moment after experiencing heartbreak, after leaving toxic relationships, after sleepless nights filled with self-doubt, when something fundamentally changes within. A person stops chasing elusive love, begging for attention, and conforming to others' expectations, and instead begins the meticulous work of self-improvement. They look in the mirror and bravely face the wounds they previously tried to hide. They untangle the complex knots of childhood traumas, those that instilled the idea that love must be earned. They find a place for their dark sides instead of running from them. They learn to give themselves the recognition they've waited years to receive from others, and gradually, step by step, healing occurs. Not complete and perfect, but sufficient to gain confidence and stand firmly on their own feet. And when this happens, something truly incredible begins to enter their life. A true meeting of two kindred souls doesn't occur to change or complete each other, but to accept each other as they are at that moment in time. There's no room for manipulation, pursuit, or anxiety disguised as passion in these relationships. On the contrary, harmony, complete understanding, and peace prevail. You don't need to prove your worth or try to impress. To be noticed, your partner's silence doesn't instill fear, because their presence creates a sense of home. This love doesn't create chaos, it soothes it. It leaves no room for doubt, but instills confidence. For the first time, love doesn't feel like a threat, but offers a sense of freedom and ease. You laugh more often, rest better, and trust more deeply. This isn't because your partner is perfect, but because you are self-sufficient and unafraid of their imperfections. You don't need a savior because you've already saved yourself. You don't need someone to fill your emptiness because you've already filled it with meaning, healing, and growth. What happens when two whole individuals meet? Magic happens, but not the kind that blinds, but the kind that creates. It's not a fleeting firework, but a slowly kindling fire, warm, steady, and real. There's no room for obsession, only deep recognition, like two travelers who have finally returned home after a long search. You don't complete each other because you were never incomplete. You enrich each other. Your partner's presence doesn't fix your life, but makes it even better. Love that elevates the joy that already exists within us is more than just healing wounds. It honors the inner strength cultivated in the process of self-healing. This kind of love is sacred not because of drama or intensity, but because of its honesty, effortlessness, and deep-rootedness in mutual respect and self-awareness. It can be seen as a well-deserved reward for the inner work done, as a prize for consciously choosing yourself, and as a divine manifestation after rejecting chaotic connections. If a person is on a path of healing, shedding layers of old grievances and learning to accept their pain, they should continue to move forward. After completing this work, reconciling with the past, and embracing love for their own existence, the person destined for them will appear, not to save them, but to ascend to new heights together. This is the challenge posed not only by the author, but by life itself. Instead of seeking love in the external world, you must begin the search within yourself. For the deep, safe, and soul-stirring connection you dream of at night is hidden not in another person, but within yourself. The one we hope to meet cannot find us until we meet ourselves. And this isn't just about polished personality traits, achievements, smiles, and strengths, but also about the parts that have been buried deep inside, fears, guilt, shame, and wounds. In his time, Carl Jung insightfully noted that clarity of vision comes only when a person turns their gaze inward. He who looks outside dreams, while he who looks inside awakens. Perhaps each of us has seen our dreams, but now it's time to open our eyes. It's necessary to delve into the depths of ourself, heal emotional wounds, find common ground with our dark sides, and shatter false beliefs about our own unworthiness. The truth is that a person attracts not what they want, but what they are. Therefore, if the aspiration is to find all-encompassing love, a sacred connection, and a partnership that brings peace, you must become the embodiment of these qualities yourself. It's important to work on yourself, listen to the voice of your soul, and then the people destined for you won't just appear by chance, but will be drawn into the orbit of the powerful energy that you radiate. This will happen not by accident, but by correspondence. It's a kind of challenge, a personal journey, and an awakening. If these words resonate deeply with your soul and cause inner excitement, it's no coincidence. Your soul has long needed this message and is now loudly declaring itself. It's a sign, a reflection, and a decisive moment. There should be no more excuses and no more waiting for someone else to save you, no more chasing after what avoids true value. It's time to look in the mirror, heal emotional wounds, and forgive your offenders for your own liberation. You must let go of everything that doesn't correspond to the future and become who you dreamed of being as a child. True growth happens not loudly and ostentatiously, but in silence, in solitude, and with a sense of self-respect. It seems that all the necessary elements for achieving what you want have already been brought together. It's time to transform into a person who doesn't just strive for a goal, but actually possesses it, bringing everything conceived to life.